What if I told you that Iran, yes, the modern-day nation of Iran, plays a critical role in the Bible's grand narrative of prophecy and world events? Often, when we think about the Bible, we focus on places like Israel, Egypt, or Babylon. But what if I told you that Persia, the ancient name for Iran, wasn't just another empire, but a nation specifically named in biblical prophecy to shape the destiny of God's chosen people? In this video, we'll explore Iran's biblical origins, its central role in fulfilling prophecies, and even its future involvement in the end times. You're about to discover how deeply Iran is woven into the fabric of the Bible, from ancient history to future prophecies. Stay with us, because this knowledge could change the way you understand both the Bible and the world today. Iran's biblical origins, more than just an empire. To truly grasp the significance of Iran in the Bible, we need to go back, far back, into the very roots of civilization, just after the Great Flood. As the waters receded and Noah's family repopulate the earth, his three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, became the forefathers of all the nations. The Bible, in Genesis 10, outlines the genealogies of these sons, revealing how the world's nations originated from them. While Shem's line is often emphasized due to its connection to Israel, Japheth's line holds an equally important place in biblical history, and in this context, Iran's ancient roots become crucial. Japheth had a son named Madai, who is regarded as the progenitor of the Medes, an ancient people who would later join forces with the Persians. These two groups, the Medes and the Persians, would come together to form one of the most powerful empires in history, the Medo-Persian Empire. This empire, which spans the regions that include modern-day Iran, played a pivotal role in the biblical narrative. Persia wasn't just a backdrop to Israel's story. It was intricately involved in God's plan for his chosen people. From a biblical standpoint, the inclusion of Madai's descendants places Iran, or Persia, in the heart of God's story from the beginning. This genealogical link isn't just an obscure fact. It tells us that Iranian people share in the biblical stories unfolding from the very foundation of post-flood humanity. It's a reminder that the Bible doesn't focus solely on Israel, but connects the fate of many nations, including Persia, as instruments in God's larger global plan. Persia, therefore, stands as an essential thread in the intricate tapestry of biblical prophecy and history, with Iran carrying that legacy forward even today. Cyrus the Great, a pagan king chosen by God. But perhaps the most astonishing moment in biblical history involving Iran comes with the rise of Cyrus the Great, the founder of the Achaemenid Empire, which would later be known as Persia. Cyrus's story is nothing short of miraculous. The Babylonian Empire had destroyed Jerusalem and taken the Jewish people into exile. For 70 years, they lived in captivity, as prophesied by Jeremiah 25 verse 11. But then, in 539 BCE, everything changed. Cyrus the Great, a Persian king, conquered Babylon. What makes this more incredible is that his coming had been prophesied over a century earlier by Isaiah, who called Cyrus by name in Isaiah 44 verse 28 and Isaiah 45 verse 1. This was a king who didn't know God, a king outside of the covenant with Israel. And yet God called him his shepherd and his anointed, titles reserved for Israel's own kings. Cyrus decreed that the Jewish people could return to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. Think about this for a moment. God chose a pagan king, not just to defeat Israel's enemies, but to fulfill his promises to his people. The book of Ezra 1 verses 2 to 4 records the decree, where Cyrus acknowledges that God himself has charged him with rebuilding the temple. This moment wasn't just a political maneuver, it was a prophetic fulfillment. Imagine the scene. The exiled Israelites, hopeless and far from home, suddenly hear the news that a foreign king, a Persian, has been moved by God to restore their land. The emotional impact would have been tremendous. It was a moment that reminded Israel and the entire world that God's plan is far greater than any one nation or empire. His sovereignty extends even over those who do not know him. The role of Persia in the story of Esther, divine providence at work. The influence of Persia doesn't stop with Cyrus. Another famous story in the Bible, the book of Esther, unfolds entirely within the Persian Empire. During the reign of King Xerxes I Ahasuerus, a plot is formed by Haman, a high-ranking official, to annihilate the Jewish people living in the empire. At this point, the Jewish people, once again, find themselves on the brink of destruction. However, through a series of providential events, Esther, a young Jewish woman, becomes the queen of Persia. With the encouragement of her cousin Mordecai, she takes a courageous step and approaches the king to reveal her Jewish identity, risking her life in the process. Esther's intervention, as we see in Esther 4 verse 14, was pivotal. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Her bravery and wisdom lead to a dramatic reversal. Haman is executed, and a new decree is issued that allows the Jews to defend themselves against their enemies. This story is celebrated annually in the Jewish festival of Purim, and serves as another example of how God used Persia to protect his chosen people. It was not merely chance that Esther was placed in her position, it was divine orchestration. Through Persia, God once again secured the survival of his people, showing that his plans can transcend political borders and empires. Daniel's prophecies, Persia and the divine timeline. The influence of Persia stretches beyond historical events into the realm of prophecy. The book of Daniel contains several visions that outline the rise and fall of world empires, including Persia. In Daniel 2, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon has a dream of a great statue, with each part made of different materials, symbolizing successive empires. The silver chest and arms represent the Medo-Persian Empire, which would follow Babylon as the dominant world power. Later, in Daniel 7, Daniel himself sees a vision of 4 beasts, each symbolizing a different empire. The second beast, a bear raised up on one side, represents the dual nature of the Medo-Persian Empire, showing its immense strength and military might. In Daniel 8, a ram with 2 horns, symbolizing the Medes and Persians, charges in all directions, conquering vast territories. However, the vision also shows a goat with a prominent horn, Greece, eventually defeating the Persian Empire, symbolizing the rise of Alexander the Great. What these visions tell us is that the rise and fall of Persia was not an accident of history. It was part of a divinely ordained timeline. Persia's dominance, and even its eventual fall, was orchestrated by God as part of his plan for the nations. Daniel's visions highlight Persia's central role, not just in the past, but as part of a broader divine story that continues to unfold. Iran in the End Times, the Prophecies of Ezekiel. Iran's significance in biblical prophecy doesn't end with its ancient role. In fact, many theologians believe Iran will play a crucial part in the end times. The book of Ezekiel 38 to 39 provides one of the clearest insights into this future role. In these chapters, Ezekiel describes a powerful coalition of nations that will rise up against Israel in a climactic battle known as the War of Gog and Magog. This alliance will include Persia, modern-day Iran, alongside other nations like Gog of Magog, which scholars often associate with regions in Russia or Eastern Europe. This conflict is depicted as one of the final showdowns between the forces of evil and God's people, Israel. The imagery is intense. Armies converging on the land of Israel, nations aligned for war, and a final confrontation that will test the faith of many. While much of the interpretation of Gog and Magog remains debated, what is clear is that Persia's presence in this coalition highlights its continuing spiritual and geopolitical significance in the biblical narrative, even thousands of years after its ancient empire fell. The fact that Persia, Iran, is mentioned in a prophecy concerning the end of days suggests that its influence in the Middle East will persist, even as modern tensions escalate. Watching the current geopolitical struggles between Iran and Israel, we cannot ignore the parallels between today's conflicts and Ezekiel's prophecy. It prompts us to consider whether we are witnessing the early stages of a fulfillment of these ancient predictions. Ultimately, this prophecy underscores a larger message. No nation, no matter how mighty or ancient, operates outside of God's divine plan. Iran, as seen in Ezekiel's vision, remains a key player in the unfolding events leading to the end times, reminding us that the Bible's relevance spans both history and the future. The story of Iran in the Bible is one of the most remarkable examples of how God can use even the most unexpected nations to fulfill his divine purposes. From the descendants of Japheth to the rise of Cyrus the Great, Persia played a pivotal role in biblical history, from the restoration of Israel to the protection of the Jewish people in the story of Esther. But Persia's significance doesn't end with its historical role. The prophecies of Daniel, Isaiah, and Ezekiel remind us that Persia, modern-day Iran, was part of God's larger plan, not only for the nations of the past, but for the future as well. Thank you for joining us on this fascinating journey. If you found this video enlightening, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more insights into biblical stories and their hidden meanings.